It's just so confusing for the average person. Even a very educated person does not know where to start. DeFi is facing a time where it's the most regulated in I would say history. Hi, I'm Sasha. I'm the head of business development of Kyber Network. Kyber Network has a product called KyberSwap.com. It's a decentralized exchange and a DEX aggregator. Kyber Network also contributed a lot to the DeFi space since the early days. We co-created Wrap Bitcoin. We built the first decentralized bridge. We invented DEX aggregation, and so those are some fun facts about Kyber Network. So these days, we've been focusing on the main products we've already launched. So we have a DEX aggregator, and we've been focused on optimizing it, adding more and more liquidity sources, expanding to new blockchains. We also have a decentralized exchange. We have a very innovative model, concentrated liquidity, which we actually invented through our Kyber DMM, now called KyberSwap Classic. We also have KyberSwap Elastic, which borrowed the concept of tick-based liquidity and added some other innovations. We have just-in-time attack protection, and we have very flexible liquidity for many different types of people. So we're focused on fundamentals, and we're focused on giving our users the best experience. One way we do that is through our DEX aggregator. Although we are a DEX, we also want to be able to offer our users the best rates no matter what, even if it's not on our own liquidity. So we add many different liquidity sources through our router to ensure that our users get the best rates. Because many different projects and protocols can always say they have the best rates, but we want to ensure that if we tell our users that, then we want to give them that. So that's one way. We're also focused on other pain points in DeFi and innovating on those. Because right now, there are still some issues with DEXs and AMMs in general. There's impermanent loss. It's a major one. So we're focused on reducing the impact of impermanent loss and finding very realistic and sustainable ways to do that, not just marketing tactics, but actual ways to do that. We have a good research and development team in Ho Chi Minh City, actually. A lot of people working on this problem, a lot of PhDs that we recruited into Kyber because we love building, like you said. So right now we are definitely focused on just optimizing what we already have. I would say the biggest problem, well, it depends from different perspectives. So if it's from like a business or commercial perspective, I would say it's the user journey. It's the steep learning curve, the increasing fragmentalization, saturation of all these DeFi projects. It's just so confusing for the average person. Even a very educated person does not know where to start. There's no education resources and stuff. Another issue is the saturation itself. The fact that you can copy and paste everything has a good aspect, which is that it encourages innovation. You don't have to start from scratch. You can build on something else. But at the same time, it creates a lot of lower quality, repetitive projects who copy and paste. And that creates a lot of confusion. It creates a lot of saturation, which is fine because we believe in permissionless DeFi and stuff. But it confuses people. It doesn't really consolidate quality projects, quality curated projects and such. And that's when new users can run into these kind of issues with DeFi. And then the whole space would lose credibility. The final aspect is regulation, I would say. DeFi is facing a time where it's the most regulated in I would say history. There's unprecedented moves from the US regulators. We're all trying to adapt, figure out how to comply. The core values of DeFi, such as decentralization and permissionlessness, are kind of at risk in a sense. Those are things that Kyber especially believes in, so we want to support it. At the same time, we want to figure out how to navigate this new situation between TradFi, DeFi, regulators across borders and such. So actually, our founder, he's from Vietnam, and he inspired the whole building, the era of building on the blockchain for many Vietnamese projects because they saw him in the news and the success of Kyber being one of the first Vietnamese-made brands to go global in the market. And so a lot of people were inspired. A lot of people started building. Then came Axie Infinity and the success of Axie. That inspired so many people but it also created this movement of like, get rich quick, fast money type of people who want to like, build a random project, but only minimally, and then just raise money and dump it, and then stop the project, build another project, raise more money. And that kind of created an issue because a lot of these games, they're borderline Ponzi schemes. There's no actually intrinsic value to it. The people coming in at the end are actually not getting any benefit. So while there's some games that are very popular and have value where people play them to play them, most of the new games coming out, most of those it's kind of like hype, I would say. And where hype comes in, that's fine. That's marketing. But there's also a lot of lower quality, a lot of scams that come in between those things and discredit the space. So I would say a lot of GameFi projects should focus on quality, making their game something people actually want to play, instead of just trying to roll out a token as fast as possible. I'm also a layman. I kind of started a year and a half ago in DeFi actually, so I can't explain the technical side or the technical aspect, but I know, being in the space and working with our tech team and our engineering team and many other projects and their engineering teams to integrate our API, for example. There's issues with infrastructure. There's issues with scalability in blockchains. Blockchains can only handle so many transactions per second. Once you get to a certain amount of people, then the gas costs get unreasonably expensive for retail users. And I didn't come into this space, into DeFi, to support whales. I came in to support decentralization. So for me, it's a really important issue that I want to address, is how to fix this problem of congestion whenever it gets even to a few thousand users sometimes. Sometimes one game with only 10,000 users can disrupt the whole activity of a very popular blockchain. So that's a problem we're still trying to solve. Instead of having to bridge from one chain to another and such like that, I would love to see that happen. So I would say the majority of DEXs or AMMs in DeFi don't focus on innovation very much. They focus on the hype aspect, the marketing aspect. Most of them are replicating UniV2. They're UniV2 forks. And then they basically copy, paste, add a new brand, a fun meme-like brand, and then they launch and they try to get traction that way. And it's like a hit or miss. If it's a hit, then it's fine. But if you look at the actual liquidity on a lot of those, UniV2 forks, a lot of the liquidity is actually dead. It's not being traded. It's just there from some random project that launched and then they didn't do anything, or maybe they failed, and that's fine too. But what we see is people not really trying to solve problems. They're trying to get rich quick. They're trying to get traction very fast or something, but they're not trying to solve problems. And that's what Kyber does. We try to focus on long-term solutions, and we try to solve them. We try to innovate. So for example, with KyberSwap Elastic, we really respect the model of Uniswap version 3. So we developed concentrated liquidity before that, but we adopted one of their aspects, which is tick-based liquidity provision. And then we innovated on top of that further. We were the first to make our own farming based on tick-based NFT model of AMM. And we also noticed, through our research team, we noticed that just-in-time attacks are actually a lot worse than people think. They're actually getting more profit from JIT attacks than sandwich attacks. So we developed a way to protect against just-in-time attacks, for example. So there's sophisticated things like that. And even for larger traders like whales and such, we are able to prove ourselves with very low slippage and very good output compared to even the other players who have been in the space for several years and specializing in it. So unlike other DEXs or AMMs, KyberSwap is also an aggregator. So again, even if we can't favor our own liquidity, we want to ensure that all users in DeFi can get the best outcome. And that's what we prioritize. Even if we might lose out in the short term, we know we'll win in the long term in that sense. What should they be doing in the bear market? Okay, not financial advice, but you should take this time. Obviously, it's the bear market. It means the market's at a low point. You should probably take this time to research what things you want to, invest in, or what things you want to kind of not ape into because of a bull market, hype, but what you want to actually put your money into long term, some more fundamental things, like things with intrinsic value. You should research, the top tokens. And besides that, you should probably focus on getting educated in DeFi, for example, because DeFi is here to stay. Of course, it's changing a bit. We're focused more on fundamentals again, but it's here to stay. And the people who research it now, the people who get into it now are the ones that will be rewarded later. So I'm a fan of Chainalysis' reports about the state of the market in terms of DeFi and crypto. Being on the ground in Vietnam and noticing that Vietnam is the top crypto adoption market in the world and that it's the second biggest DeFi adoption market in the world, I was very curious to look into that myself on the ground. Wherever you go in a cafe in Vietnam, you hear people talking about crypto. It's true. Most of them are speculating, they're trading on Binance, most of them are not going into, I would say, DeFi for different APR in different DeFi protocols. However, if I look into some statistics in DeFi protocols on, say, SimilarWeb, you can actually see the top geographic market for most major DeFi projects is actually Vietnam. That's an area of curiosity, but in terms of that, like the government itself is welcoming it. Like anywhere that, anywhere that a Southeast Asian country is up in the rankings, they're very proud of it, and the government tends to try to support it. So that's what Vietnam's doing, actually. And in terms of building, Vietnam is also a center for blockchain development because we have 900,000 people working in IT. The number of Web3 jobs have tripled in the last year. And again, because of our founder, Lei, who inspired a lot of them, they're all trying to build DeFi projects. I want to see more quality than quantity because so far I'm seeing the opposite, but I really have high hopes for the Vietnam market.